over at the church, as the church artist, it's usually up to me to come up with the decorations for our Vacation Bible School, which is also going to be decorations for our church for the 250th celebration of America. And we're going to be learning about these symbols and more about the founding documents, like the birth certificate of America, the Declaration of Independence, and the arguments that the men had over what to go on the documents, what shouldn't be on the documents, and the different views that they fought about, and the highly contested document, the Constitution. The men were passionate and they were very firm in their opinion about what should or should not be in the Constitution, and they argued about it for about 4 weeks before they finally worked it out to make the greatest Constitution in the world. And then sometime later they worked on the Bill of Rights to perfect anything that they didn't feel it was covered by the Constitution. And so that's what our Vacation Bible School is going to be about this year. So I'm working on the program, I'm working on the scripts, I've got my cast of characters lined up, I gotta get them into costume and write their scripts, give it to them, and I gotta finish this painting job. This is where I do my big work. We've got this long panel that needs to be worked on. Those are done. Those were smaller. I could do those at my house. This needs help, and I need to figure out exactly what to do. Well, those things are done, and they are delivered to the church, ready to be set on display. The guys painted this for me, and I'm going to try to, it looks fine, I guess, but it looks kind of flat. So I'm going to try to give it a little more dimension. So I've got my gear, I'm ready to get started. I need to touch up the edges, I need to add some shadows. Well, let's get started. I need a lighter brown or a highlight color. It has to be lighter than this. It is. Is it light enough? Let me test it. After mixing 2 other values of brown paint, one lighter and one darker than the base coat that was already added to the large panel, I began to dress up the flat painting by adding some box frame trims to the brown section. I didn't take the time to add wood grain, not this time, because frankly, I just have too much on my plate currently. I did have to do some measurements and some math to calculate the size and the distance of each one to sort of match what is already in the church. My goal with this piece was to create a bunting that perfectly fit the center half wall in front of the choir. I wanted a double layer of buntings to add more red, white, and blue to the church decor for July and for our Vacation Bible School patriotic programs. We do a patriotic program every single year, but we teach a different facet of early American history, focusing a lot about our founders and things they said and did. This is our 8th year of doing a patriotic VBS. With costumes and characters, we try to bring history alive. You may wonder how I am able to paint such a straight line. If you look closely, you will see how I use my pinky finger as a stabilizer that slides on the surface, keeping my hand steady. It's just barely touching, but it slides following the surface of the paper, cardboard. Also, I'm using an angle brush, which is great for painting straight lines and getting my corners just right. I keep my water jar on a paper bag so it doesn't leave a watermark on the cardboard, and I move it as I work down the line. I never paint without a rag. I rinse my brush between changing colors and I dab off excess water on my towel. I always have a dabbing rag. It is not a thorough wash, just a mild rinse. Since I'm really working with just one color, I'm only switching between a lighter value or a darker value, so I don't need to wash my brush thoroughly. The guys primed the long panel with white paint. Then I came in and drew out the design of the buntings. After some math calculations, I made a pattern of the bunting from brown paper bags taped together. First I traced the half circle, then divided it into 3 parts. Actually, it was too long, so anyways, I modified it till I got it the right shape. And then after I traced each half circle and the overlapping one, I cut off one band at a time so that I could trace that line and then cut off the last section. Then I marked each section R for red, B for blue, and BR for brown, and just let the guys paint them in for me. When I started to draw it, so I had to erase my lines and shorten it. Just folded the bunting to make it a little bit shorter because I think it was sort of more ovalish shape, and I said, no, I don't like it. Cut out a stencil, had a brown paper bag, after I figured out how to make a perfect star. And then I'm tracing the star on the blue so I can have a little bit more white. I traced the circle of the jar and I tried to figure out, and this is all of my efforts, I got a star, it's a little bit wonky. But then I finally figured out the space between each one so that I have a perfect, this fits each space. That's how I figured out the perfect star. So it took me a little while to figure out, but I managed. I had to paint the stars 3 times to get good coverage. When I painted them the first layer, the blue shone through a little bit, so I painted them a second time. And then I said, nah, they need a third coat, so I painted them a third time. When I came in today, I was surprised on the lack of white color, so I decided to add some stars on the blue sections. That really helped. Okay, so I've got these panels on, painted the stars. Now I need to add some shadow under the bunting. I used a white pastel chalk to mark on the dark colors. I needed to switch to a pencil here to draw on the white. The only time I wash my brush thoroughly is when I change colors completely, like when I switched from brown to painting with blue when I was painting the shadows. For my shadows, I use dark brown on the brown, a darker blue on the blue sections, and a light gray on the white. I put all the shadows on the left side here, and thicker shadows on the left, as if the light was coming from the right. So highlights on the right and shadows on the left. And this is on top of that, so there's a greater distance here than there is here. So this is what it Looks like I'm almost finished. And I'm also going to make an arc of golden stars. And I have the stars cut out. I need to finish off the edges, same as I've done with everything else. And I'm going to spray paint them gold. And then they will be attached to the arch that will be formed with 2 PVC pipes joined together at the top. I'm going to wrap it in red, white, and blue streamer, and then I'm going to hot glue, and I'm also going to string. I'm going to poke 4 holes in the center of the star so I can use some fishing wire to make an X on the front and tie the stars onto the bent or pipe, and then I will hot glue it so it doesn't slide, so it'll stay in place. So that should look really cool. I can't wait to see it all put together. So far I have 17 stars. I don't know if I need more stars than that. Maybe that's enough, hopefully. Stars are only 2 layers thick. They didn't need to be very thick because they're a small item. And I first worked out a pattern on cardstock to be able to trace the stars, to have all the stars to be the same shape. I just need to spray paint the stars with metallic gold paint. I made a painting box. I used a hanger in the top to hang my star. Give it a moment to dry. Turn it around. I am doing this outside so I can paint a gold metallic star, and then I drop it down here. And so we have our metallic gold star. And so we just hang another and keep on painting. can down. Got a lot done with one can. Good thing I bought 3 cans. I let them sit outside, kind of resting on something till they're dry before I move them inside. I don't want to leave them outside too long because it's a very humid day. The last one I just left it hanging up there. I wish I could show you the full display, but it won't be set up until the end of June, and it will be on display for the entire month of July to add to the festive spirit of the month, which will include our patriotic VBS. My pastor wanted to focus on the symbols of America, which is why I made these items. You can make just about anything out of cardboard, and when it is done right, nobody will know that it's made from cardboard. I love working with cardboard. It took me several weeks to complete this project, so I have not been able to put out weekly videos because I was pressing myself to get this project done so I could put it all in a single video. I hope you enjoyed the process. Thanks for watching. Our VBS program is open to the public. You're welcome to join us if you're local. It's a VBS for the entire family. We have adult classes. Love to see the costumes, I love seeing the characters, but I really enjoy the adult class.